I never believed in ghosts. Not until I moved into the old Victorian house on Holloway Lane. It was the kind of house that seemed to call to me, with its towering gables, ivy-clad walls, and a front porch that creaked like a warning. The realtor had been eager to sell it, almost too eager. She mentioned something about the previous owner passing away in the house, but I brushed it off. People die all the time, don't they? And besides, the price was a steal. 4 bedrooms, a sprawling garden, and a quiet street far from the city's chaos. It felt like a dream, but dreams have a way of turning into nightmares. The first night I heard the whispers. I was lying in bed, the moonlight streaming through the cracks in the heavy velvet curtains, casting jagged shadows on the walls. The house was silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy, like it's pressing down on you. And then it started. A faint, almost imperceptible murmur, like someone was speaking just out of earshot. I sat up, my heart pounding, and strained to listen. The sound seemed to come from the walls themselves, a low, guttural hum that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. The whispers stopped abruptly, leaving a silence so thick it felt like the house was holding its breath. I told myself it was just the wind, or the pipes, or my imagination running wild. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. The next few days were uneventful, and I began to relax. The house was beautiful with its high ceilings, intricate woodwork, and stained glass windows that cast colorful patterns on the floors. I spent hours exploring every nook and cranny, trying to make it feel like home. But then the whispers returned. This time they were louder, more insistent. I could almost make out words, but they were twisted, garbled, as if spoken by a mouth that no longer worked properly. "Get out," they seemed to say. "Get out before it's too late." I tried to ignore them, to convince myself it was just my mind playing tricks. But then I started seeing things, shadows that moved when there was no one there. A figure standing at the end of the hallway, its face obscured by darkness. And the cold spots, areas of the house where the temperature would drop suddenly, leaving me shivering even in the middle of summer. One night I woke up to the sound of footsteps. They were slow and deliberate, pacing back and forth in the hallway outside my bedroom. My heart raced as I lay there, frozen in fear, listening to the creak of the floorboards under the weight of something unseen. The doorknob began to turn, slowly, agonizingly, and I squeezed my eyes shut, praying that whatever was on the other side would just go away. When I opened my eyes, the room was empty, but the air was thick with the stench of decay, and I knew I wasn't alone. The next morning, I decided to investigate. I started in the attic, where the air was stale and the light was dim. It was filled with old furniture, dusty boxes, and forgotten relics of the past. And that's when I found the photograph. It was tucked away in a dusty old album, its edges curled with age. The picture showed a family, a man, a woman, and 2 children, standing in front of the house. But something was wrong. The man's face was blurred, as if it had been smudged, and the eyes of the children were black voids. On the back of the photo, written in a shaky hand, were the words, "They never left." I felt a chill run down my spine as I stared at the photo. Who were they? And what had happened to them? That night, the whispers became screams. I was in the kitchen, trying to distract myself with a cup of tea when it started. The walls seemed to vibrate with the sound, a cacophony of voices that were both distant and deafening. I dropped the cup, and it shattered on the floor, but the sound was drowned out by the screams. "Get out!" they shrieked. "Get out before it's too late!" I ran to the front door, but it was locked. The key was gone. The windows were sealed shut, as if the house itself was trapping me inside. The air grew colder, and I could see my breath forming clouds in front of me. The shadows in the hallway began to move, twisting and writhing like living things. And then I saw them. The man from the photograph, his face still blurred, standing at the end of the hallway. The children were beside him, their black eyes staring into my soul. They began to move toward me, their steps slow and deliberate, their forms flickering like a broken film reel. I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest until I felt the cold wall against my back. There was nowhere to run. The man reached out a hand, and I could feel the icy grip of death closing in around me. But then I remembered the attic. I pushed past the figures, their forms dissolving like smoke as I ran up the stairs. The attic door was heavy, but I threw it open and stumbled inside. There in the corner was an old rusted key. I grabbed it and ran back down the stairs, the screams echoing in my ears. The key fit perfectly in the lock, and I threw the door open, stumbling out into the cold night air. I didn't stop running until I was miles away. I never went back. The house still stands on Holloway Lane, empty and decaying, waiting for the next fool who thinks they can outrun the past. But I know the truth. The whispers are still there, echoing through the halls, calling out to anyone who will listen. And if you're not careful, they might just call out to you. So if you ever find yourself standing in front of that old Victorian house with its ivy-clad walls and creaking porch, remember this. Some doors are better left unopened. Some houses are better left uninhabited. And some whispers are better left unheard. Because once you hear them, they'll never let you go.